An incredible run for the country's very own Alex Eala in the Miami Open. The 19-year-old beat
19-year-old lefty Alex Eala from the Philippines could be the next big thing in pro tennis.
This is the goal, to do well on the WTA Tour. I'm super proud of what I was able to accomplish.
Somebody in South Beach just paid more for a tennis ticket than they paid for their rent. And it wasn't to watch Aryna Sabalenka. It wasn't to watch Iga Swiatek. It wasn't to watch Coco Gauff or any other Grand Slam champion the WTA has been building its marketing empire around for the last decade. It was to watch a 20-year-old girl from Quezon City, Philippines, who 12 months ago was ranked 140th in the world and needed a wild card just to get through the front door. Her name is Alex Eala. She just broke a record at the Miami Open that nobody in professional tennis has ever broken before. And the sport will never, ever be the same again.
This was a massive spot to be in for such a young talent, to have a sold-out crowd.
We need to start somewhere that will anchor everything. We need to go back exactly 1 year, March 2025, Miami. A 20-year-old Alex Eala arrived at the Miami Open as a wild card ranked 140th in the world, a complete unknown to most of the tennis establishment. No seed, no expectations, no budget from a wealthy national federation. Just her racket, her left hand, and a hunger that the WTA had absolutely no framework to contain. And what did she do? She beat Ostapenko. She beat Keys. She beat Swiatek, the 6-time Grand Slam champion and former world number 1. 6-2, 7-5 in straight sets. Then she went to the semifinals before losing to Jessica Pegula in what Pegula herself later described as one of the most surreal atmospheres she had ever played in.
It's amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like,
where did these people come from? The world number 5, playing in her home city, couldn't understand why her own hometown had completely abandoned her for a Filipino girl ranked 140th in the world. That is the Alex Eala effect. And in the 12 months since that moment, it has grown into something so massive that the sports tournament directors are calling emergency press conferences just to explain how they plan to manage it. Now she's back, and Miami is not ready. Let's talk about what this homecoming actually looks like from a business perspective, because the numbers are absolutely staggering. We have been watching the Eala effect build tournament by tournament across 3 continents, and every single venue she has stepped foot in has been economically transformed. This is not a compliment. This is documented, verified, quantifiable revenue generation. It started in Dubai in February. The Women's Week of the 2026 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships saw a 48% year-on-year jump in ticket sales. 48% in 1 year. At a tournament that already featured the biggest names in women's tennis for decades.
50 in the world.
Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country.
And the tournament's veteran referee, Hani El Kafif, a man who has officiated at Dubai for more than 30 years and watched Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Agassi, and both Williams sisters pack that stadium to the rafters, had this to say about Eala's effect. He said, "This was a different experience. I have seen big matches. I've seen Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, and Agassi. Obviously, those matches had full houses, but this was a very different atmosphere. Different from Federer, different from Nadal, different from Djokovic. A man with 30 years of front-row seats to the greatest moments in tennis history is telling you that what Alex Eala does to a stadium is different from anything he has witnessed before." And then he added the gut punch. He said, "All her matches had packed stands. Even the 2 semifinals didn't have that kind of crowd. The final had a full house, of course, but Eala's matches were massive. That's the ticket everyone wanted. Her second-round matches outdrew the tournament semifinals. Her quarterfinal match, against Coco Gauff, the reigning US Open champion, created an atmosphere that the Dubai tournament director Salah Talak compared to the legendary Indian tennis player Sania Mirza's debut 2 decades ago. Talak said, "Alexandra Eala was a brilliant addition to the field. She attracted a new demographic to the tennis, and the stadium was sold out for all her matches. People were desperately trying to get tickets, but they were all gone. We've never seen anything like it." They've never seen anything like it. In a tournament that has been running since 1993. In a venue that has hosted legends on every surface and in every era of the sport. And they have never, in 30-plus years, seen what they saw when Alex Eala walked onto their court. But here is where Dubai becomes merely a prologue. Because everything that happened there, every sold-out match, every 48% sales surge, every desperate WhatsApp message begging for tickets, was only setting the stage for what happens when Eala returns to Miami. James Blake, the former American tennis star and current Miami Open tournament director, has confirmed that Eala's matches will be on center court. But not before acknowledging what everyone in the sport privately already knows, that the previous tournaments who tried to manage Eala's presence by putting her on smaller courts failed spectacularly and embarrassingly.
Learned my lesson of Fonseca needs to be on stadium, and he will be, yes. And Eala, it's been quite a thrill ride for him.
He learned his lesson. That is Miami Open tournament director James Blake, a man who reached world number 4 himself, who played in the biggest matches in the sport's history, saying he learned his lesson about how to handle the phenomenon that is Alexandra Eala. And then he went further, laying out exactly why Miami would be unlike anything the tournament had seen.
I think the international interest in both of them is so high, and Miami being such a sort of a cultural melting pot with so many of the international, so much of the international flavor here. I think we're going to need them to be on center court because they have so many fans worldwide, and here it's going to might feel like home matches for both of them.
Home matches. James Blake is calling Alex Eala's Miami Open matches home matches, in a city she does not live in, at a tournament she has only played once before. Home matches. Because the Filipino diaspora in South Florida has claimed that city, that court, that tournament as theirs, and nobody is going to tell them otherwise. Now let's go to the numbers that explain why these tickets are selling at record prices. Because this isn't just emotion. This is pure, undeniable market economics at work. Eala's pre-tournament press conference at the Australian Open this year generated 196,000 views, almost twice that of 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic, and more than 6 times the views of eventual men's champion Carlos Alcaraz. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka's press conference recorded 9,000 views. Let that sink in. Sabalenka, the defending Miami Open champion, the current world number 1, a 2-time Australian Open champion, generated 9,000 press conference views. Alex Eala generated 196,000, 21 times more. And Sabalenka has been the most dominant player on the WTA Tour for 2 straight years. What does that disparity in numbers tell you? It tells you that the audience Alex Eala commands is not a tennis audience. It is a cultural audience. It is a nation of over 115 million people who have been waiting for this moment their entire lives, and they are showing up, digitally, physically, financially, in numbers that the traditional tennis economy has no formula to process. She currently has almost 1 million followers on Instagram, more than double that of high-ranking players like Pegula, Keys, and Amanda Anisimova. She is ranked 29th in the world. She is outperforming players ranked in the top 5, players who have won Grand Slams, players who have been household names in tennis for a decade, in raw social media presence. And social media presence is directly correlated to ticket demand. When you have 1 million engaged followers and the tournament director confirms you'll be on center court, what happens to the secondary ticket market? It erupts. At Indian Wells, Eala's crowds were comparable to those of Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, the 2 biggest men's stars in the entire sport. Not comparable to other women players, comparable to Alcaraz and Sinner. The two men who sell out every tournament they enter, who command the highest ticket premiums on the ATP Tour. A 20-year-old woman whose name most casual tennis fans didn't know 18 months ago is generating Alcaraz-level demand at one of the most prestigious events in professional tennis. And ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, didn't just cover this story. They titled their feature on Eala at Indian Wells, The Eala Tour. The ESPN piece described what is happening around Eala as the growing tennis equivalent of the Eras Tour, a direct comparison to the cultural and economic phenomenon that Taylor Swift created when she sold out stadiums across 6 continents and generated over $1 billion in economic activity in every city she visited. They called it the Eras Tour of tennis. For a player ranked 29th in the world, ESPN is out here writing Taylor Swift comparisons for Alex Eala. When ESPN starts making those comparisons, you know that what you are witnessing is no longer about tennis. It is about culture. It is about identity. It is about a people finding their champion and refusing to let her face the world alone. Now let's talk about the draw, because Miami 2026 is not going to be kind to Alex Eala on paper. And it doesn't matter, because nothing has been kind to Alex Eala on paper, and she has beaten it every single time. As the 31st seed in Miami, Eala enters with a first-round bye. If she advances to the round of 32, she could face Iga Swiatek, the world number 3 and a 6-time Grand Slam champion. The very same Swiatek she dismantled 6-2, 7-5 on this exact court 12 months ago. The rematch everyone in tennis is salivating over. And if Eala gets through that, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Gauff, Pegula all lurk in the deeper rounds. Eala said after Indian Wells, "It doesn't matter if I win the tournament in Miami or if I lose in the first round. I know I'm here, and I'm here to stay."
So it doesn't matter if I win the tournament in Miami or if I lose first round, I know I'm here and I'm here to stay.
She knows she belongs. Not hoping, not believing, knowing. After everything, from a wild card ranked 140th to a top 30 seed with 5 top 10 scalps, that is not arrogance. That is hard-earned, battle-tested certainty. The kind that doesn't crumble when Jessica Pegula wins a close semi-final. The kind that doesn't crumble when Linda Noskova beats you late at night on a slow court after a grinding campaign. The kind that comes back to Miami with more points to defend, a harder draw, more pressure, more expectation, and says, "I'm here to stay." And the world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka, the defending Miami Open champion, even she couldn't ignore what Jessica Pegula said about watching Eala's crowds from inside her Dubai hotel room.
Alex is amazing. Hopefully she's the next podcast guest and we can kind of get to know her and talk to her more. But the way that she's been able to pack stadiums and the way that her country supports her is something special, and she handles it, I feel like, so maturely and with such grace, and she just seems so appreciative of all the support she gets, and always seems to have a good head on her shoulders and a good attitude about it.
Pegula, the tournament champion in Dubai, the woman who stopped Eala's Miami run last year in the semifinals, is in her hotel room at night, listening to the roar outside and finding the grace to praise Eala for it. That is the weight of what is happening. That is how completely Alexandra Eala has reshaped the conversation around women's tennis. Here is the full picture, tournament by tournament, city by city. A 48% ticket sales jump in Dubai. Sold-out matches at every event she enters in 2026. A pre-tournament press conference that outperformed Novak Djokovic 21 times over. Practice court crowds rivaling Alcaraz and Sinner. A center court confirmation from the Miami tournament director who said he learned his lesson. An ESPN feature calling this the Eala Tour. A Khaleej Times investigation documenting the most explosive ticket demand in Dubai tennis history. Filipino flags in Indian Wells. Filipino fans in the freezing California desert at midnight. A WhatsApp inbox so overwhelmed with ticket requests that the tournament official said he was scared to look at his own phone. And at the center of all of it, a 20-year-old from Quezon City who looked up at a stadium packed floor to ceiling with her countrymen and said, "I looked up, and there were Filipinos for days." It's really such a blessing to be able to play in these sorts of atmospheres. I am really privileged and thankful that I'm able to introduce this new sporting world, women's tennis, to a new demographic. A new demographic. She said it herself. She is not just winning matches. She is not just climbing rankings. She is pulling an entirely new population of sports fans, people who had never watched a single tennis match in their lives, and converting them into the most passionate, most devoted, most economically impactful fan base the sport has seen since the Federer-Nadal era. Eala told the Sit Down podcast about her 2025 Miami run. "I think that has to be the highlight of my career so far."
That has to be the highlight of my career so far. Like you said, that's what put me on the map, but it just, everything clicked after that. And I look back at that moment and I just think, wow, like it was insane and it's crazy.
It was insane. And now she goes back to do it again. Not as the miracle wildcard who surprised everyone, but as the seeded, battle-hardened, top 30 ranked future of women's tennis who has beaten Swiatek and Goff and Keys and Paolini and Ostapenko, and is staring down a draw full of Grand Slam champions with absolute zero fear in her eyes. Miami didn't just sell out her matches. Miami handed over its center court. Miami's tournament director went on national television and said he needed her on the biggest stage because the demand is that enormous. The ticket scalpers are charging premium prices. The hotel lobbies in South Beach are packed with Filipino flags. The tournament has been remade in her image before she has even hit a single ball. This is not a tennis player returning to defend points. This is a cultural force returning to claim what is hers. And when those lights come on at the Hard Rock Stadium in South Beach and 60,000 Filipinos start screaming, "Laban Alex!" When that noise hits the court and Iga Swiatek looks across the net and sees the girl who did it to her once already, every seat sold, every inflated ticket price, every broken attendance record will make perfect, absolute sense. She is coming. Miami will never forget it, and neither will the WTA. If you are riding with Alex Eala all the way to that Grand Slam trophy, smash the like button, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on, because the Miami Open starts now, and this story is about to reach a level nobody in tennis has seen before.